Welcome to Decades, hosted by Chris Rubio. Decades is a show made up of 5 generations of people brought together to discuss topics you wouldn't normally talk about with others. The goal of the show is to learn by having some good, possibly heated discussions, without losing the simple fact that it's okay to talk to different people with different opinions other than your own.
We've got 4 great topics. I'm going to hold off on the 4 topics until I bring out my main man, my handler, the boomer, the lighter, the gaffer, whatever he does. Sub 68, come on out. I'm going to bring you out first just so you don't get pissed off at me.
Oh, Rubio, I never get pissed off at you. I'm always so happy because you wear that yellow all the time.
I know. Sub 68, could you tell people where they could be watching us right now?
You guys can be watching us on the Roku, Amazon Fire, NGBTV app, NGBTV website, YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Android too. Yes, Google Play. Download it. I just actually downloaded my app today. So yeah,
fantastic.
So we're all over the place, man. I think this is exciting. Welcome to all our new viewers, and let's get this party started. I know the guys are ready.
All right, let's bring out first one from the 60s. We've got Judge Jay Gaskell. He's an Idaho native, Seahawks fan, retired district court judge, makes the best old-fashioned in Northwest, and he's got a deep, dark tan, he says, because he just got back from Thailand. What's up, Judge?
Good to be back with you from the land of polite people, straight to you guys. I'm not sure how that's going to work.
Next up, also in the 60s, we've got Bill Geiser. He's an entrepreneur, wearable tech guru, phenomenal swimmer that lives in Florida. What's up, Bill Geiser?
Greetings, Decadians, near and far.
Absolutely. Bill has named everyone that is on the show and or watches the show or a fan of the show a Decadian. So we're going with that. And so it shall be written. So it shall be done. Next up, in our 50s, we've got 2 guys now from our 50s. We're going to go with Alex Chris first, originally from the Ukraine. He grew up in the USSR, lives in LA, and he's a beer connoisseur. What's up, Gru?
Greetings from the city of Los Angeles.
Fantastic. Also, newly 50-year-old. Let's give it up for Anthony Cobbs, AC. Lives in LA. He's a teacher. He's a coach. He's the host of AC Sports Live, which is coming on tonight at 9 p.m. And I'm sure you're going to be talking about the Super Bowl, AC.
Hey, you better believe it. You better believe you're talking about the Super Bowl. And I'm 50.
You're 50?
50.
And that's 9 p.m. Pacific time.
Yeah, I like kicking and stretching and kicking. I'm 50.
There you go, Daddy. Another 50. Jim Scarano is from Ocean City, New Jersey, an avid outdoorsman, father of 2 and a public educator. What's up, Scarano?
Doing great. Just want to thank all the new viewers, all my people that I'm hammering on social media. I hope you came out tonight. And I want to wish my sister Gloria a happy birthday today.
Oh, happy birthday to Gloria. She's always watching. She's a nice Decadian. We like her.
Yeah.
All right. Next up. She's 29.
Yeah, 29, exactly.
Representing our 40s, we've got Charles Schultz. He's Wooster, Ohio, 2-time All-American in baseball and strength and conditioning. He's host of the Edge of Greatness podcast, which is phenomenal on the NGBN TV network. And he's proof that white men can jump. What's up, Charles Schultz?
What's happening? We're going to have to work on your pronunciation of Worcester, Ohio, like football.
Worcester?
Yeah,
I'm terrible with accents.
My Worcester people upset over here. They're gonna go nuts on you.
Is it? How do I do it?
Worcester.
Worcester.
Yeah, like football. You don't say football.
Maybe I do.
Oh, maybe you do. I don't know.
Worcester. I'm not going to get that right. I'll admit it right now. Representing our 20s. We've got Charles Wallace Jr. We call him Charles. He's a 2-time wiffle ball champion, hosted from gridiron to goalposts, and really into AI blondes and bikinis. What's up, Chalice?
What's up, guys? And Rubio can attest to this. On January 7th, I correctly predicted the Super Bowl.
He did, actually. It's kind of sad that he did. I was shocked that he didn't pick the Eagles. as in what Dave Bradley says, Charles, as in Worcestershire. No, that's because I can't pronounce. No, that's Worcestershire. That's Worcestershire sauce, right?
Not in Worcester.
3 bros in yellow hoodies. The trend is growing. Yes, it is.
Stop,
it is.
Brian.
Sub 60 Ed.
Stop,
So salty.
stop.
Sub 60 Ed, we're going to get you one. You'll look like an M&M. We're going to make it happen. Okay. Last but not least, we've got representing our 20s as well as Cruz Rubio is a student athlete in Middle California, likes to barbecue, argue, wear chunkless, and go to the beach. What's up, Cruiser?
Howdy.
Oh, howdy it is. All right, 4 topics for tonight, boys. Should marijuana be legalized federally? Ron DeSantis drops out. Is the speed of news today a good thing or a bad thing? And Hertz rental cars replacing Teslas with gasoline cars. Let's start with should marijuana be legalized federally? AC, I'm going to you first because I think you're the most religious of the group. So you could have like a religious take on it, but you do live in LA.
I'm not religious. I'm not religious at all. I would like
You're
to
faith-based.
Faith-based, but hey, man, this is a tough one because it comes from the earth, and it was given to people from above. I don't know, man. I mean, if things are what they are, and people aren't abusing it, and it's not causing anybody any. I mean, there are worse things in the world than marijuana. I'd say legalize it. I'm pretty sure there are worse things that they could probably ban, but at the same time, it's going to tax things. So go ahead and legalize everything so we can have an idea. Same thing with steroids. I just think that if we have a grip on everything that is out there, we have a better chance of making sure no one abuses it. So,
well, and I think we can all agree on one thing. We normally don't agree, but we can all agree that the baseball steroid era was the best era in baseball, where they were jacking like 70 home runs per inning. And they were all roided up. Barry Bonds' head grew like 9 sizes.
Legalize it.
Yes. Judge, since I saw that you took notes, and then I'm going to go to you, Bill Geyser. What's your thoughts on this?
Well, I'd like to say that marijuana was a performance-enhancing drug for baseball in the 80s. I'd say absolutely legalize it. It's stupid not to. I think it's just a carryover from the 80s war on drugs, which was an abysmal failure anyway. And there's certainly a difference between marijuana and fentanyl or the harder drugs. It's legal to some degree, at least in 24 states, 2 territories, the District of Columbia. So the trend just keeps growing in both blue and red states. I think they've got to legalize it.
Okay. Bill Geyser?
I agree with the judge. I think it should be, right now it's legal in, I think the judge just said 24 states. It's a federal offense if the offense is committed on federal property, if I've got the law straight. It's confusing. Some states it's legal, some states it's not. Let's just agree. If someone wants to do it, legalize it.
Yeah, but then you get the rules. I'm coming to you, Charles Schultz, and then Jim. It's so bizarre. Like Portland, and I got you, Gru. Portland, they allow everything. So you can just be smoking a bowl, walking down the street, doing crack, doing whatever you want. But if you're sitting on that same park bench next to the dude that's doing crack and you're drinking a beer, the beer drinker gets arrested. Like, that's wild to me. That doesn't make any sense. Charles Schultz, what are your thoughts on all this?
So my only concern isn't the legalization of marijuana. I think that there are enough people out there who use it for different reasons, who want to, partake in that. And there's alcohol, and that's a danger too. But the biggest problem for me is with alcohol, you can tell if somebody's driving impaired. What happens if somebody uses marijuana, goes out and kills somebody in an accident? Do we have an ability to test for this? Do we have an ability to understand the impairment process and how far gone somebody is? Because the statistics I saw said that the states that legalized marijuana saw a 6% increase in accidents. Now, I don't know how much of that's attributed to marijuana. I'm not saying it all is, but a 6% increase would be 16,000 additional crashes in Ohio. That's a lot of accidents. So
are you saying 6% or 60?
6. Okay. It's not a drastic number, but 16,000 accidents in a year, that's a lot. That's a chance that somebody's life is taken. And again, it's not necessarily all because of marijuana, but I would like us to not put it legal until we have an understanding of the effects it has on driving, the effects it has on people who are impaired, and how can we manage it appropriately. If you want to smoke in your house, you want to do those things in a private place, cool. I'm all for that. My concern is what happens if you leave the house.
We just had David Bazinet from Florida just say, yes, they can test for it. Scarano, your thoughts?
I think it's a tough question to answer. I'm more in favor of keeping it a states' rights issue. I think that our federal government has enough problems doing what they need to do already, controlling borders and such of that nature. I can see why they want to get their hands on it for money and power reasons. I'd also be afraid that, how much would corporate America get their digs in this and sort of take over the industry, where kind of at the state level, like we've legalized it in New Jersey recently, and, you have a lot of mom and pop and small businesses, and so far it seems to be working. I would just be concerned that the feds would screw it up.
Well, they're going to. I mean, Good God, anything they touch. Have you ever been to the DMV? Gru?
Well, I'm all for it. I think the Netherlands legalized marijuana many, many years ago. And while I was in Amsterdam back in like 2014, 2015, I didn't even smell marijuana the way I smell it in Los Angeles when I walk around the block. So, I think it's fine.
Okay.
Again, I didn't see people high all over Amsterdam, so they just got used to it, and it's no big deal, basically.
Okay, so AC said earlier that he's faith-based and it's okay with the devil's lettuce because it comes from the earth or it comes down, whatever. But then what happens to the ones where it's not just plant-based anymore? Now they're making it in labs, and it's a lot more potent. It's not like, the weed Cheech and Chong did in 74. I mean, now it's, you get it in a gummy and all hell's breaking loose within an hour. Charles Wallace, what is your thoughts on that?
I just think my stance on weed, just from people that I know, and it's funny, I have friends who smoke, and if they see this, they already know how I feel about it. I hate it. It smells like shit. People are addicted to it, and then they're like, no, man, I'm not addicted to it. I just got to smoke before I leave the house. I got to smoke before I have breakfast, lunch, and dinner, or else I have no appetite, but I'm not addicted to it. I like alcohol. If I was to be like, I'm not an alcoholic, I just have to have a shot of JMO before I have my waffles in the morning, I'd be an alcoholic, right? But then you got these dudes who smoke 8-9 times a day, and I go to jujitsu, and these dudes are like, no, man, it makes me perform better. And no, it just makes you smell horrible, and it stinks up the gym. So let's stigmatize it the way we stigmatize alcohol. If we're going to legalize it everywhere, let's stigmatize it and be like, you guys are drug addicts, because you are.
Okay. Brian Jonas out in North Carolina. I'm going to got you, Judge. Says, make it make sense. We're cramming pharmaceuticals down people's throats when there are less addictive and less harmful options like CBD and THC, especially for our veterans with PTSD. That's a lot about. I do like Jim's take on state issue. Yeah, I agree with you, Jonas. I mean, if they're going to be pumping chemicals through other things, and then why not, the less harmful way? We all know why, because it's not regulated right now and they're not getting their money. Judge?
I just wanted to say on Charles's 16,000 accidents, I think 15,900 of them were under 5 miles per hour.
and if accidents increased 6%, I want to know how much of the Uber Eats meals increased for that exact time frame. Yes, here drivers are tested for drinking, drugs, and prescription drugs. That's Mona. Cruz, what's your thoughts on this, being the youngest?
I think that they should legalize it. I think especially now you're seeing a lot of rise in fentanyl deaths related to marijuana because people are going to smoke weed anyway, but they're not able to get it through main distributors. They have to go through kind of back doors and able to get it. And a lot of times that weed could be laced with other things besides fentanyl, like you talked about. Like sometimes those edibles can be way too strong. So I think if you have the federal government legalizing it and saying, okay, you can open up these distribution centers everywhere, whatever, and it's safer that way for people, I think that's probably the best way to go off it, and the government can make money. So I think it's a win-win for most people involved.
Tom Coleman just said legalize marijuana, criminalize tobacco. So that could be a whole separate topic on the thing. So, sorry, Gru, I know you like your cigars. Speaking of marijuana, after we come back from this break, I think Ron DeSantis' campaign managers, I think they were smoking the devil's lettuce because his campaign was absolutely terrible and he should have had an early lead. On that note, Sub 60 Ed, take us out.
Welcome to Decades. have been watching Decades, a show on the NGBN.TV network.
You're watching the exclusive sneak peek of NGBN TV. Like never before, streaming content for men is now available, with more to come. Join us on this journey as we introduce you to content creators and shows that are here to inspire, educate, entertain, celebrate, and support men in their 40s, 50s, and 60s. We can't do this without you, so please enjoy this sneak peek, but also share it with your friends and family, and help us connect with companies, organizations, brands, or nonprofits who align with our mission to save men's lives. This is the NGBN TV Sneak Peek.
Welcome back to Decades. Take it away, Rubio.
All right, we are back. We are on Decades. We're on Roku, Spotify, Google, Amazon, Amazon Fire, Androids, everything, Facebook, LinkedIn, all that good stuff. Guys, let's talk about Ron DeSantis. About a year and a half ago, he was the front runner for the Republican nominee. Him and El Trumpo, obviously. El Trumpo's got a couple legal battles as he's battling, as always. But Ron DeSantis obviously crushed it out in Florida. He made Bill Geiser a rich landowner because people keep wanting to go there, and over and over and over. Charles Wallace, you're headed there in a couple of months, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
Indeed.
Okay, perfect. So Ron DeSantis drops out. Was this a big story for you guys or not? Bill Geiser, I'll start with you since we're in Florida, or you're in Florida.
So I wouldn't say he dropped out. I think he hit the pause button. I think he's probably sitting on the sidelines recognizing there was no way he was going to beat Trump if Trump stays in. I think, there are numerous legal battles, and who knows how this thing is going to end up. If Trump drops out, he drops back in, I think. But in the meantime, we're happy to have him back in the state of Florida.
Yeah, in his campaign, he was so good in Florida, and you can't go toe-to-toe with El Trumpo. It's just impossible. You're not going to outword him. You're not going to outact him. You're not going to be a bigger ass than he is. So, my opinion, Ron DeSantis should have just said, hey, I'm an absolute dork. I played baseball at Yale. I get it. I'm a super nerd. I've got no personality, but hey, do I get crap done? And he didn't do that. Like, it was just, he didn't even come close to doing that. Judge, what's your thoughts on this?
Well, I think his campaign steered him incredibly wrong. Before he declared, he had a personality. As soon as he dropped out, he had a personality. But the whole time during the campaign, he had absolutely none. I think he had some good ideas on term limits, line item vetoes, balanced budget, all of those things. But I just don't think he just came across as wooden.
Yeah, 100%. And you can see when he did his speech of, I'm dropping out, or pausing, as Bill says, he looked almost relaxed. He looked like the dude that just took a big piss. He was like, oh, good God. Thank God. This feels great. Charles Schultz, what are your thoughts?
I just don't think it was his time. I think he rushed into it before it was the right choice for him. And because of that, I think he didn't have his campaign completely set up, because he was just coming off the heels of, the Florida election and getting that squared away and making those promises to the people of Florida that he was going to be there for that job. And then all of a sudden you go and jump into a campaign that you have to be all over the country and do what you're, required to do to campaign. And I just don't think he was all the way in it, to be honest. I think it was one of those, I'm going to do it because I'm hot right now.
Yeah.
And I'm going to ride this wave and see what happens. But then as things didn't go well, it just got worse.
Okay, Cruz, go ahead.
Yeah, I kind of agree with Charles in the sense that I just think he was putting, I'm trying to find the best way to word this. He was trying to do too much shit, basically. He had that debate against Newsom that didn't really pander to many views, didn't really go his way per se. Not that he didn't win or lose the debate, but I just think he kept trying to do too much stuff instead of trying to prioritize his presidential campaign. Him being the governor of Florida doesn't really allot him a lot of time to go and try and run a campaign. And he was losing donors left and right. It was just a slippery slope for him, one thing at a time.
Charles Wallace, do you think he's the next great Republican hope?
I don't think so. I think people are drawn to certain personalities, whether we like it or not. People are drawn to guys who are good at speaking and who can kind of control a room. And he, on his campaign, he just didn't show that. He was very, as the judge said, he was very wooden. And even after Trump's done. If it's down the line, I think with how badly he showed in terms of his personality in this, it's going to be hard to get people back onto his side. People are drawn to personalities, and he just didn't come across like a guy who had one.
Yeah, I would agree 100%. AC, I'm not going to come to you because I know you don't like to talk politics. Gru, what's your thoughts on this?
Well, it kind of reminds me of that book, Peter Principles. Okay, him being a great governor of Florida wouldn't necessarily make him a great president. So he could have reached his level of incompetence if if you ever read the book, you would know what I'm talking about.
Okay, and Jim Scarano.
Yeah, like AC, I don't like to talk politics either, but and I'm not fully knowledgeable on all the ins and outs of the campaigns. But I personally just feel he saw the writing on the wall. He's not stupid, and he probably didn't want to piss off a lot of money away, knowing that he wasn't going to win. Sounds like he put a whole lot of emphasis into Iowa, and that didn't come out good. But he was smart. He uses the word suspended my campaign. And he was smart to back Trump because I think he figures he could be next in line, and maybe he'll, gear up after if Trump wins, and maybe slip in behind him the next time. We'll see.
Okay, so speaking of slipping in, let me slip in a new category right here. DeSantis drops out. Does everyone here believe, raise your hand if you think Joey B is going to be the Democratic candidate for 2024? Raise your hand if yes, you do. Judge? AC, so 3, sub 60. Do you have your hand up? No.
Yeah.
1, 2, so 3 of you. No, 4.
Right.
Okay.
Who's the other option?
Well, that's the question. I think they're starting to push it out a little bit more in public, more and more, to try to make you see he's not operating on all cylinders. I mean, they already did it with the stairs where he has to take the little baby stairs up the Air Force One. He can't even take the big stairs. And now you see him after every speech, they kind of leave him out there a little bit more to where he looks like the Quentin Tarantino, Pulp Fiction meme of John Travolta where he's looking, where am I supposed to go? Where am I supposed to go? Bill Geiser, who do you think it's going to be?
That's a good question. I think the Biden presidency has been a disaster. I think the Democratic Party knows it. I think they've got a real issue on their hands that they're going to have to sort through very, very quickly, because I just don't see Joe being able to get through. Heck, I didn't think he's going to make it through this presidency, let alone get through an election cycle and get reelected. If I had to guess, my guess is they'll put up Newsom.
Ooh, good God.
Let's go.
I mean, yeah, Joey B's 82 right now, and we all see how old the judge is, and Judge is 69. So throw in another 13 years of life. My God. I mean, that you talk about James Taylor, I've seen fire and I've seen rain. That's an issue. We're going to come back with Hertz rental cars replacing Teslas with gasoline cars. That's going to be a quick one. Sub 60 Ed, take us out.
You have been watching Decades, a show on the NGBN.TV network.
My name is Chris Rubio, and I'm the host of The Rubio Method on the NGBN TV network.
Focus up. Long standing and life are very, very similar.
We have a great show that's going to educate you, inspire you, and most importantly, entertain you. I say most importantly because that's what I really want to do. And we're just kind of going on this journey together. And I'm going to make sure as we go on this journey together, you're going to have a good time while doing it. So check out the Rubio Method on NGBN TV.
From back to Decades. Take it away, Rubio.
Sub 60, yeah, that was by far the best commercial you've ever put out. It was fantastic. Very well done. The choreography, the color, the lyrics, everything phenomenal. Well done. Sub 60 Ed, why are you on camera right now? Oh, now you're off. Oh, what? What's happening?
No, because I'm just having some fun with you.
Oh, okay.
That's it.
Why are you so close to the camera too? It's frightening.
Sorry about that.
That's better. See, I like to see the shirt.
There you go.
Okay, before I was thinking about something. Before we get into the Hertz rental cars replacing Tesla with gasoline cars, AC, I want you to give me the argument I'm going to go around to all of you. Why are drugs not legal in national sports? Like marijuana is not an enhancing drug. I mean, everyone can understand that. Okay. So why? I think in basketball, it's actually legal now in the NBA.
They just don't test. It's not that it's legal.
Yeah, they don't test.
I mean, it's just the unknown, and it's the idea that somebody is getting an advantage. Again, it's just the ignorance. People just don't know. That's why I say if we get in front of things and we have more doctors involved, we can make sure no one ODs, we can make sure no one abuses, we can make sure no one really seriously gets injured or hurt someone else. Certain sports, you have to be more careful. UFC, mixed martial arts, football, anything contact related, you shouldn't have steroids because you can actually hurt someone.
Okay, but the argument on that is why not? If they're all legal, if AC can do 19 gallons of steroids per day, and he's drinking horse piss, why can't Charles Schultz do the same thing? If it's all legal,
it's just like if I know everyone's using it, that's one thing. But if I know some aren't, it's not fair to those who aren't, because now you are really running a risk of injuring someone who is not. So you just have to know. It's kind of like having a transgender race. Let's not put them with the women or the men. Let's have them have their own race, so no one is injured in the process. So it's just a lot of subjective thoughts.
Okay,
I think it
Charles
goes back
Schultz.
to the original doctrine of sport. It's about fairness, equal competition. Who's the best without artificial aids?
But everybody's using something. Like it's almost impossible to be a high level athlete without using supplements, legal supplements. But someone's always going to abuse that. Charles Schultz could probably talk to that. Baseball is crazy.
Or if you have the money, AC, or someone like The Rock, who doesn't he eat just bison meat or something like reindeer meat? That's all he eats because it's got so much protein. What did he eat?
And steroids. Like,
well, hey, I mean, there is that. Charles Schultz, you wanted to answer AC's question?
Yeah, as far as the performance enhancement and the steroids, in today's day and age, there's so many things that you can take that do similar things that aren't steroids that I would be surprised if 95% of athletes aren't taking something. And they're pushing those boundaries. They're getting as close to the edge as they can on the brink of what might get caught, what might not. And the truth is that, that's just the human performance side of things. When you're competing against others, you are competing to win. And that means to do anything and everything possible to do so. And they're gonna push that limit as far as you can. So when you legalize all drugs, people are going to be looking for that edge, that thing, that something that gives them a step ahead. And I like Bill's answer that it's about the purity of the sport. It's about man versus man, straight up. This is who I am. This is who you are. This is what I'm capable of, and let's go. And I don't like adding all the other stuff.
Jenna Ganje, number one, I was not dissing on bison meat. I would never piss you off after you've killed a bat. Big Time Show says there's also a system in place that wants to keep the threats of Sub 60. Put that button back up. Threats of losing their careers in place. Yeah, I mean, if anyone's seen Any Given Sunday where the guy's doing anything to stay on the field. But Charles Walsh, you're a gambler. You're better. There's still also supposed to be role models still for children. That's true, Cindy Standard. But who is it? Charles Barkley? Didn't he say at AC?
I'm not a role model.
I'm not a role model. I agree. They should be, Cindy, but they are not, and they're not that good at it. And this was before Twitter and all that stuff. Charles Walsh, you're a gambler. How much would you love to watch a UFC fight where both of those dudes are like dripping and needles are falling out of their arms as they get to the ring?
It's every week.
I mean, I'll be honest with you. A lot of them probably are anyway. But I think the problem is kind of like Charles already said. If we legalize everything, I think we need to have a benchmark somewhere of this is what you can't do. This is what you can't take. Because if we make it that you can take everything, everyone always wants to push the boundary of, well, now what can I take to get an edge? Because I know everybody's doing all this. What can I take? How can I, make a new concoction to get the upper hand on everyone? And I think we need to have a line in place where this is what you can do on one side, on the other side is what you can't do. And I am a fan of just the fairness of it, of just the especially in like sports like MMA and sports like wrestling, real wrestling, not the WWE, of just seeing who's, you know, who's more man. And when you start adding in all the artificial supplements and things like that, it takes it away.
I see your point. Judge, what is your thoughts on Sub-6? Yeah, bring us all back. Because you were in college, you say this, I've never seen photos, but you said you were a power lifter, which this is a big allegedly because I've never seen any photos. And you were squatting like a VW bug. What are your thoughts on all this?
Well, I know this is hard to believe looking at my body, but I don't know that much about steroids. I didn't take them when I was powerlifting, but I mean, it wasn't like a major powerlifting competition. My view of them was I always thought that they were banned mostly because of the harm they did to the people that were taking them, or the potential harm for the people taking them. And that was my understanding of why they were so restricted.
Yeah, back in your time, it was just Brontosaurus marrow, T-Rex marrow, things like that. I remember AC and Charles and Cruz, we used to get drug tested. And I remember there was like 3 different drug tests you'd get. You'd get the school test where they'd say, here's something, go in there and piss. Okay. Then there was the Pac-10, RIP Pac-10, RIP Pac-12. They would give you, and they would say, here, go into that stall, and they would watch you. And then the NCAA one, they'd say, drop your trowel, and they're looking at your junk as you're taking a piss. And I remember because one time I got tested 3 times in 1 week. And at this point I was 6'2", 285. And I go, dude, you guys got the wrong guy. Just look at me. Who does it look like? I'm on steroids. Cruz, is that the way they're doing it still?
At least where I go to school, it was you had the school one, and then you had the NCAA one, and majority of the time, either when it was either the school or NCAA, it's a situation where it's drop your draws, but you go into the shower, and they have to basically watch you piss in the cup, and in the situation in which you can't piss in the cup, you have to take a shower in front of them in order to be able to pee. It's pretty crazy. Yeah.
What?
Yeah, so like there's guys in the team that like this time schedule where it goes is like from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. essentially for us, and you can't eat or drink before it because if your piss is too diluted, then it counts as a fail. If it's diluted enough, no water, then that's like a good sign. So a lot of times guys will dehydrate themselves, or in the case in which they know they're going to fail, they'll pound water into their system. And by the next morning, when you have to go take a piss, the first piss test you take, it's too clear, so you can't get anything. And at that point, they make you get fully naked, go into the shower, take a shower in front of them so that you can pee.
So the shower water makes you pee?
Yeah, basically. It's really
Is that a thing?
I don't know the science behind it, but that's what they make us do. Yeah.
You know why, Rubio?
I don't
right?
think that's a thing.
You know why, Rubio?
I don't know why. AC?
Because guys was taking dildos into the pisser and squeezing out someone else's pee. Right.
Oh yeah, I know that.
And that's kind of why they make you shower.
Okay, but yeah, I get that. I know that. But I'm saying, why? What's with the shower? Why can't they
you can't hide?
In the shower?
You can't hide anything.
Yeah, you can't hide anything. And then I also think it's the case of like guys will have trouble going pee, and when you go in the shower, like you just like when you're I don't know what the scientific reason behind it is, but for whatever reason, when you go in the shower, you all of a sudden you go pee. It's literally like it's happened multiple times. Not to me. I don't have
Hey, you football players are weird.
Yeah, how did
I think no. This is a Cruz thing. He goes to Cal Poly, San Luis Obispo. Pot is legal there. David Bazinet, we might need a breathalyzer sent over to San Luis Obispo right now. I don't know what the hell he's talking about.
Do you want me to grab my roommate?
Big John?
Rubio. Do you remember though? Our drug tests were random, right? Random drug tests.
Yeah, no, I remember. Yeah, man, I got 3 of them.
All of our steroid teammates never took a test.
Oh yeah, John, do you really have to shower to take a piss?
No, when you do the drug test,
just cruise.
Exactly,
just cruise.
Like that. So if you can't piss when they want you to do, they make you stand in the shower.
Oh yeah.
God,
I stood there for an hour.
Yeah, that's just stupid. All right, Big John, go back to what you're doing. That is just dumb. I still think this is false. I think Cruz,
It's true, man.
Yeah, you got your little dream catcher in the back. God knows what dreams that thing's catching as you're watching Cheech and Chong's 19 times. Charles Schultz, we're going to end on you before we go to commercial. You're a baseball guy. Tell me you love the Mark McGwire, Barry Bonds steroid era.
Oh, I mean, Mark McGwire and Jose Canseco and
Bash Brothers.
They were my favorite growing up. You know, I even grew a mullet so I could be like Jose. You know, the truth of it is the game is good when it's exciting. And yes, steroids made it exciting. I think today you can still have that without the steroids because the supplements have gotten better. You don't need the steroids to get the same kind of results with some of the supplements that are available and some of the things that they're taking. The biggest thing that the older steroids, like Judge said, that there's some dangers to that. But today, as long as you're not taking the bodybuilding steroids, those synthetic steroids that make you look boxy, they can regulate it to be healthy. Like there's people that take TRT for testosterone support. As we get older, our testosterone drops, and it's a way for us to naturally kind of build it back up to healthy levels. I'm not against helping people have longer careers, but I think there's got to be some doctor regulation involved. There's got to be some type of, oversight to allow for it to happen. Because, let's be honest, some of those older players, it'd be great to see them play into their 40s and be competitive with some of the younger players. But it's hard because as we reduce our testosterone and the young guys come up, we're just naturally a step behind.
Yeah, but Tom Coleman just said Babe Ruth did it on hot dogs, and what did he say? And beer, and probably about 4 or 5 lung darts per game.
I mean, he was also 6'3", 215. He wasn't a fat guy. Like people always think of him as
back then he was.
Like, no, if you looked at his maybe his older pictures, he got thick, but like 6'3", 215, that's not fat. That's just a big man.
Yeah.
Now he had a chubby face, right? He had a chubby face, but he was actually, I think he led the league in triples one year.
But okay, hold on. Well, there's an awful lot of yellow in the air tonight, as there should be, Chevy and Nasty. And yes, I saw you eating your McRib. You better be talking that on your show later. Bill Geiser, you're a big man. You're 6'4"?
No, 6'2".
6'2". In your high school, were you one of the taller people in your class?
No.
You weren't?
There were a handful of guys that were 6'8", 6'6", 6'7".
Oh, wow.
That's a big
Where did you go to high school?
Duke.
St. Viator High School in Arlington Heights, Illinois.
Okay, Judge, I will hold off on this question for you. On that note, we're going to go to commercial.
Are you going to ask me?
Okay, I wasn't going to ask you sub 60. Were you honestly, were you the shortest? You had to be the shortest.
Oh yeah. Oh, when we lined up for class pictures, I always knew where I was going to be. Didn't matter if it was grade school.
His name was like Zeke Ziegler. You're like, I'm the end.
I just sit here and I say the line starts here behind me.
Oh, bless your heart.
Picture. Yeah, I know, right?
God love you. All right. On that note, take us to commercial, sub 60.
You have been watching Decades, a show on the NGBN.TV network.
Hello, my name is Charles Schultz, host of The Edge of Greatness. I hope you choose to join me on a journey into discovering the greatness in your life through the exploration of 7 pillars: purpose, mindset, resilience, discipline, commitment, people, and courage. Hope to see you there.
Welcome back to Decades. Take it away, Rubio.
Speaking of steroids, that was a pretty impressive commercial there, Charles Schultz. I saw those veins.
It was jacked up.
You could say, AC, you saw he did about 25 push-ups. Then he's like, take the photo, take the photo, take the photo. I know how it goes. Hertz rental cars are dropping Teslas to replace them with gasoline cars. Was this a no-brainer, Charles Wallace?
Yeah, I think so. I think, especially right now, I mean, things take time to catch on. I think, especially for a rental car place, it's just more business savvy to have, gasoline cars.
Well, and then the fact of 95% of the time you're renting a car, you're in a place that you normally don't know a lot about. So say the judge was just in Thailand and he's renting a rickshaw or whatever they have out there, and it's an electric. He doesn't know where the hell to go. I mean, their plugs have got to be already different, right, Judge?
Yeah, the plugs are different.
So they have those like international thingies.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're probably not a lot of Teslas there.
No, mostly cows.
Cow. What are the rickshaws things called? Tuk-tuks?
Tuk-tuks.
Tuk-tuks. Yeah, I would love to be one of those. Gru, what's your thoughts on this?
Well, it was purely economical decision by Hertz, because from what I heard, Teslas, when they get into a car accident, it takes from 2 to 2.5 months to get parts to fix the Teslas, you know. So I have a few friends who had that experience, and I think Hertz figured out, you know, they cannot fix those cars fast enough and cannot replace them fast enough, and they basically decided to dump them and get regular gasoline cars. It's easier to maintain.
Bill Geiser, did you send me this article, or did I read it, that Ford is slowing down their production of their electric trucks because they're losing like 17 grand per truck and no one's buying them? Does that make sense to you, Bill?
Well, no, I've read the same thing. I did not send that to you, but I've seen that article. Listen, there's one company that's making money in the EV market, and that's Tesla. And they're doing pretty well at it. As far as Hertz making the decision to not offer Teslas as a rental, I don't think it's a big deal, to be honest with you. I applaud them for trying it. They probably learned their market isn't really ready for it. I think it's a case of doing something a little too soon. They got in front of their headlamps, no pun intended on this one, and took it off the market. But 10 years from now, Hertz will have a lot of EV vehicles, and many of them will be Teslas.
David Bazinet saying in cold weather they're terrible. There was something in Minnesota. They switched all their public transportation to electric, and they couldn't figure out that in Minnesota it gets cold in the winter. So during December,
batteries lose their
batteries lose. So they didn't have like one public bus that was working. Like who didn't think literally 10 seconds ahead on this one? AC, you live in the land of traffic. What are your thoughts on these electric cars and hose of gas?
I'm thinking it's something to do with fear as well, as that when you see these new end of the world movies and these electric cars are taking over and they're on a grid and you don't have control in these self-driving cars, I think that might be a small little thing that might be an area of uncertainty for people. Like, I don't want an electric car. I heard someone say, I'm never going to go all electric. I'm always going to keep a gas car, because when the grid goes down, what you're going to do? So, a little bit about it. It makes you wonder. If you don't know about it, you don't want to have any parts with it. So that might be a little bit to have to do with it.
Yeah, that's a great take. There was that movie with Susan Sarandon that was just out on Netflix, and it was a whole conspiracy theory because the cars started driving themselves and all that stuff. Jim Scarano, you had your hand up.
Yeah, a friend of mine sent me some information on EV cars, and I had no idea the amount of energy and diesel fuel and everything else that goes into extracting all the minerals and what you need to put together just the batteries. I mean, it's the amount of environmental, damage you're doing doesn't really, in my book, outweigh the benefit of an electric vehicle. I mean, it's counterproductive in my mind. But
yeah, they always show like the 7-year-old African kid digging a mine, and he's been doing it since he was 2 years old just to get enough. Whatever the chemical is for the battery. David Bazinet says, I'm good with electric, just make them as efficient as gas vehicles. The big thing with me, and the judge can attest to this, we live in kind of a rural area. I mean, you live our city in Lewiston. I think, Judge, the only place you can charge it is at the casino in Lewiston.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's not even like the supercharger, so you got to sit there for 2 hours and either start smoking or start gambling and do what you got to do. And then the next closest one has got to be Coeur d'Alene and McCall.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, we're talking at least a 90-minute drive one way and then a 2.5-hour drive the other. And I'm not saying that they're going to die, but if it's cold outside and these things are not holding full charge, what the hell am I going to do? And there could be at least 12 gas stations along the way, but there's no charging stations. So if you live like where AC and Gru live and Bill Geiser, that you've got options. But me, I got nothing. Like Mama Nona said, you got a better shot.
You do actually have an option. You could pay $500 and install a Type 2 charger in your garage.
Well, I get that, but
you
I'm
need
saying
you need the same outlet as your dryer. It takes a 240.
Yeah.
And now you've got a pretty high speed EV charger right in your garage.
I get that, but Bill, I'm saying, say the judge and I are going to road trip it. Okay. And you got two human beings in there, one normal size, one smaller. And we're going to McCall, and it's a 3-hour drive, and it's cold. And all of a sudden, the road is blocked. Okay. The road is blocked because a rock fell or someone hit a moose or an elk. And now we've got a 4-hour wait in the frozen tundra. Okay. So now my car's got to be running for 7 hours to stay warm, or I'm going to die. Okay. Or the judge is going to be like those Peruvian soccer players and try to eat me. What am I doing then? How do I function on that? Cruz, what you want to comment?
Yeah, I just think it doesn't seem super ideal for someone in a situation like you and the judge, but with like Drew and AC and, even someone like me who's got a supercharger, I think like maybe 10 minutes away. It could be useful for them, but I think in your situation where you live in the middle of nowhere, yeah, it's not super useful. And there's not a lot of shit that's super useful for you in the middle of nowhere, though. It's like, that's just the way it is when it comes to that. You could take a Tesla from Orange County to Sacramento and get there and be just fine with those superchargers along the way. But that's just the way it is in California. Idaho, it's just a little different ballgame.
Okay, Groot.
Well, also, like speaking of California, I don't think California ready for most people getting EVs, because if everybody gets those super chargers, which cost like $1,500 to install, and charges their Teslas and other EVs at night, California going to go dark during the summertime.
Oh yeah, you guys already can't handle it. And none here in rural Alabama. Yeah, her name is Chastity, lives in Greenbow County. But then Chevy and Nasty just yelled at me, said it was Julia Roberts, not Susan Sarandon. They look the same. They look exactly the same. Am I wrong? They're interchangeable at this point. On that note, we're going to come back for our final segment. Is the speed of the news today a good thing or bad thing? Sub 60 Ed, take us away, my man.
Hello, everybody. My name is Scott Morganroth, the Motor City Madmouth, your host of the Sports Exchange. We bring old school media to current day sports talk. I've been in the media for over 44 years and have learned that every sport is important. We'll talk about every sport from football to cornhole and anything in between. There is a story behind everything we do. So tune into the Sports Exchange.
We are back. Okay. We are back. We're going to talk about the speed of news today, a good thing or a bad thing. Before we get to that, to all our watchers out on Amazon Fire, Amazon Prime, Google Play, YouTube, Spotify, NGBN website, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Roku. Make sure you guys choose who is the panelist of the night. Okay, you guys get to choose. Sub 60 Ed is going to choose as well, but we want you guys to choose who you think is doing the best job. Obviously, you can't choose me because you just choose me every single time, and I get it. It's a problem I have. All right, is the speed of the news today a good thing or a bad thing? Is the newspaper dead? Cruz, Rubio, we'll start with you.
The newspaper is definitely dead, I think. AC can kind of correct me on this, but I think this week with like the Los Angeles Times, I think there was a huge, massive shutdown where they just didn't show up to work. And I think AC, do you know what I'm talking about by chance?
Yeah, it's getting to a point. We saw SI shut down last week, and the LA Times is on the same pattern. It's just like no one's reading the paper. Let's just go digital.
We Sports Illustrated last 2 Fridays ago literally sent an email that said, "You're all goodbye," and then Los Angeles Times, obviously one of the biggest newspapers in the country, I think they had 115 layoffs in one day, just because it's becoming so outdated. Judge, as a newspaper reader, what are your thoughts of this? And I'm trying to break them of it.
Can't break them of it. Obviously, there's some good to news coming fast, but there's a lot of bad too, because I think it comes fast at the cost of accuracy a lot of times. And people love spreading news, being the first to spread bad news, and they'll spread that bad news, whether it's accurate or not. Then if later it proves not to be accurate, whether it's in the newspaper or on this faster news, people ignore that anyway, and they go with what they've heard in the first instance. So I think a lot of times they do give up accuracy for speed, which is not a good thing.
Well, yeah,
I believe
and
newspaper and investigative reporters.
well, then they have the problem is they'll throw something out real quick and it's wrong, and then they'll do a retraction at like Thursday 3:37 a.m. It's like no one's looking at that, dude, and everyone's jumping on the latest and craziest thing. Where a couple years, I think Monday was the anniversary of the Jussie Smollett case, where he said he was in Southside Chicago. He got beat the hell out, throwing gasoline on his fire as he was getting a subway at 1:45. And someone yelled at MAGA country. I've been in that area. No one's yelling MAGA country in that area. No one's going out at 1:15 in the morning on January 26th either. It's it's like 11 degrees, dude. So that whole thing was just stupid. Charles Schultz, what's your thoughts on this?
No, I agree with the judge on this one that there's definitely some good things about getting news quickly. Like we're up to date on things. We get it fast. We get to see what's going on in the world, and that's great. But we have to put something in place to hold people accountable for when they're wrong. I think if you do something like that where there's more at stake for messing up, it slows the speed of news down, but we can still get it quicker because we have the technology to get things to us fast, but it doesn't mean we have to do it wrong. Like I love the idea of the newspaper because like Bill or like the judge says, you got investigative journalists. They're looking for multiple sources. They're looking for all the details and you're getting it slower, but right. And I think there's somewhere in the middle that we can find that is fast, but also right. And then we'll all kind of be there.
I like the argument of someone should, basically be punished if they spread fake news. I was going with the Jussie Smollett thing is because Kamala Harris posted, it's a travesty what's happened to him, blah, blah, blah. And that tweet is still up. Like she never deleted it. Like, dude, Ray Charles saw that this was a hoax. Like, this is just absolutely stupid. Bill Geiser, what is your thoughts on Charles Schultz saying we've got legit journalists trying to work for these papers? Because I know this is a thought with you.
Well, I kind of agree with both Charles and the judge on this. I think you can take a look at the speed of news as a separate issue. The bigger issue is the quality of journalism. And journalism is what processes information into news, if you think of it as a manufacturing process. And I think this whole media world of ours could actually benefit from an old slogan. If you remember back in the late 70s, I do, Judge may remember this one. I think it was Paul Masson Wine who hired Orson Welles, and he had this famous tagline, "We will sell no wine until it's time." And that's what happens with shoddy journalism, is they shoot this stuff out, digital, print, TV, voice, whatever. If it's shoddy, it's shoddy. They shouldn't do it until it's ready, until they've done their work. There's a process. There is a process to building anything, making things. And there should be a process to quality journalism. And I think we've gotten away from it. And so I don't blame the speed of the news. I mean, that's just, I could put something on my computer, hit the print key, and boom, it's published globally instantly. If I put shit out there, that's the problem. And that's what we're doing.
Scarano, we've got 4 minutes left. What is your thoughts on this? Then I'm coming to you, Schultz.
Yeah, I'll be real quick. So I don't think the speed's the problem. I think like what a lot of guys said, it's more the quality. And let's face it, what is news? I mean, with the internet now, anybody can put anything out there. So Charles, I don't know how you would regulate that and hold people accountable. I think that would be very difficult. But there's a lot of situations like with weather events or major traffic jams or things that could be helpful to people, that the speed would be a good thing. But you're right. There's so much crap out there, Bill Geiser, and now as a viewer, you're like, what's real, what's not real, but holding them accountable, that's going to be difficult.
Charles Schultz, real quick.
Yeah, real quick. I think we're so excited to get likes and attention from the news and from what we put out that we put out whatever is going to draw eyes, draw likes, draw clicks. And I think if we can find a way to not let people see the results of the click until the end of the month, then they're not chasing the next headline, the next glorified story.
I like that. Charles Wallace, end us.
I think the speed is the issue because it's not a race to get out the best quality journalism you can. It's just a race to be first. So I think if we had journalists who we could trust to be capable of doing it fast and right, that would be a different story. But I think part of it's bad journalism. Part of it's that every journalist is just rushing to get the story out before everybody else does. So I do think that the speed of it and how quick everybody's trying to be first is part of the issue.
Okay, but then what if a journalist is watching right now and saying, hey, man, I'm not allowed to be a journalist because if I was trying to be a journalist, let's say with a Hunter Biden laptop story, I got immediately muted. The story was not allowed to be put out. That's a bigger issue as well. I mean, not to open up a can of worms as we end the show, but you've got journalists that they couldn't do journalism if they wanted to. They had to just go along with the narrative. Oh no, it was Russians, things like that. And when it turns out, it wasn't. Sub 60 Ed, you're back on.
Yes, I am, because I can be.
Yes, you can.
I figured it was time since it's 1 minute to the closing.
Okay,
closing time.
Who chose?
You know who's getting it? The person who phoned a friend and brought in a friend to this is getting it tonight because, and actually it's his friend's getting it too. Big John. Big John gets Big John and Chris get it.
For needing help.
No. Because his boy came in and took care of him, and that's what we're all about. Great job, guys.
Pissing in the shower. Let's do it.
Yeah, pissing in the shower.
Yeah, I love peeing in the shower.
All right.
Vote for that.
This was a great show.
Go.
Remember to like, subscribe on Facebook, YouTube, everything that we're on. We're on Twitter, Instagram, all those good things. Cheers, everybody.
We're out.
Make sure you guys.
Thanks for watching Decades on the NGBN.TV network. Be sure to spread the word, and don't forget to subscribe, like, or follow on YouTube, LinkedIn, and Facebook.